What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steve.
I'm Lindsay.
Today we're going to be checking out a video by the Wandering Ravens, 10 things the UK does better than the US of A. Police, workers' rights, and more.
Is there anything you can think of that might be on this
Yes,
list?
100%. Food has got to be on this list.
Yeah, food for sure.
The regulations on food in the UK versus the US are completely different. Here we are very lax. I think a lot of people, probably most people over in the UK and Europe entirely understand that the regulations are much better and stricter in the UK and most of Europe. Unfortunately, we have a bunch of artificial dyes and just all sorts of nonsense that shouldn't be in the food. I'm going to be kind of surprised if that isn't on the list. That's a big one, at least for me.
One thing that comes to my mind that we learned about recently is like parental leave.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it'll be on here though. It's only 10 things, so.
The first entry on our list has to do with workers' rights. Let's talk about which country gets better sick leave.
Here in the USA, sick leave laws change depending on which state you are in. So here in Washington state, you can accrue 1 hour of paid sick leave per 40 hours worked. And sick leave beyond that is unpaid.
So how much does an American, or at least a
that's only 1
Washingtonian,
hour a
actually
week.
make with sick leave? So let's say you max it out every year, you take your full 52 hours of sick leave, then based on the median hourly wage, which is about $25, you'd be making $1,300 a year from sick leave. So, I mean, it's not bad. It's just you don't get very much of it. You get 52 hours max.
Across the pond in the UK, statutory sick pay income provides up to 28 weeks of paid sick leave.
Of course, the one
28
caveat is that
weeks?
the income that you're making during that time is significantly lower than in the United States. So whereas you're getting paid your regular hourly wage in the States, in the UK, you're going to be making just £95, 85 pence per week. So in total, if you're going to be maxing out your time off in the UK, you're going to be making £2,683, which is a lot more than you get from time off in the USA.
So, but I guess if you divided it
weeks.
by hourly, it would not be.
Hourly would be pretty bad.
Although it would be impossible in the US to take 28 weeks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
pretty crazy.
It's where the UK pulls ahead here, is you guys have the flexibility and the ability to take that time off if you want it, even if you're not really getting paid that much while doing it.
Yeah, that's nice to have that stability.
Yeah, when I worked, for example, the city, I've also worked for the state before, and I guess comparatively, we had pretty good paid sick leave.
Yeah, usually if you're working for...
Because I think he was saying 1 hour per 40 hours, which is basically 1 hour per week. We got, I think it was either 8 or 12 hours per month. So that added up to like, I can't remember if it was like 12 days or like 16, something like that. It was at least 12 days a year's paid sick leave. And usually if you didn't use that, you would accumulate it and people would end up having a bunch when they were going to retire. And so they would be able to retire early.
Yeah, I've heard of people doing that.
And generally speaking, you basically just got the, your hourly rate.
When I worked at the library, that was really good benefits. I really liked working there, and you got pretty good sick leave and also vacation time. And as you stayed on, like the longer you were on, the more you could get per year.
Benefits of the city and state government, probably the federal government as well, are generally very good. Now, when you get to private companies, some have really good benefits. Varies wildly by company and by state. Yeah. But I find that interesting. So instead of the company paying you like your full salary, you can get much longer periods of sick time off, but you get a very reduced pay in the UK.
Whereas here you would just be unemployed. If you're an employee who has ever taken sick leave in either the UK or the USA, do make sure to stop by the comments and let us know what your experience was like. Did these numbers match your experience, or did we get anything wrong?
The next thing that the UK does better than the USA is paid time off.
Ooh, yeah, this is a category where the UK blows the US out of the water. No competition. Unfortunately, because in the UK, people who work 5 days a week or, a full-time job are guaranteed 28 days of paid leave every year.
Wow.
That's 6 weeks of paid time off per year, which is insane to us. Like, I can't even imagine what I would do with that much time off.
Is that like vacation time?
What do you guys do with all that time off?
That's insane.
As you can tell from our reactions, the situation here is quite dire. Employers are not required legally to give any paid time off to their employees at all. None at all. Not even holidays. holidays, it's a bit sad.
Not even Christmas?
Not even Christmas.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
if your employer wants to make you work Christmas, you work Christmas.
Wow.
Bob Cratchit. Of course, many employers do choose to give time off as a benefit because they want to get employees that way. For example, Amazon, which is a local company here in Seattle, gives salaried employees somewhere between 10 to 15 days off per year. So you guys get double the time off working just a minimum wage job in the UK than like a
Wow.
full-time, high upper level salaried
Amazonian.
Amazon
Wow,
corporate.
that's crazy, man.
employee.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think we need to move to the UK.
And while we're on the topic of workers' rights, let's talk about paid maternity and paternity
Yeah.
leave, because this is another thing that the UK does better than the USA.
We already learned
As
a
of
little bit about
2020,
this.
Washington State now offers up to 12 weeks of paid maternity and paternity leave. Depending on how much you make, you'll be paid either 50 or 90% of your regular income during your leave. This is actually really generous and way better than most states. So is this then like a scale? Like you'll get paid between 50 and 90%, or is that set numbers? Like you either make 50% or 90%? Because those seem kind of like odd numbers.
kind of odd numbers. From what I read, it is not a scale. You either get 50 or 90%, and the way they estimate that is if you make over the average monthly income, then you get the 50% because you're a high income earner. You don't need
So you
that
might
much.
have more savings.
And then if you make under the monthly average, you
Yeah.
get 90% because you're a low income earner. You need as much as you can get.
Okay, that makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
Yeah, and the nice thing about this is, at least in this state, both mother and father can take time off.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was going to ask next. Is it like 12 weeks and you have to split it between the two of them, or is it
No.
12 weeks for each parent?
I think it's 12 weeks for each.
Wow.
That's
That is
really good.
Really good.
Yeah,
That's
and this is
Washington
new. So
State.
this is like
Mm-hmm.
cutting edge workers' rights legislation here in the United States. So what's the situation like across the pond?
Well, from what I understand, in the UK you can take up to 50 weeks of leave,
Dude, that's
and
crazy.
37
Wow.
of those weeks will be paid time off.
So that
37.
means that if you want to take up to 50 weeks, you can do that without
Wow.
having to worry about getting fired. But only 37 of those weeks you're going to be getting money for, right?
Yeah. So the way the paid time off works in the UK is a little bit different than it does in the USA. Parents can choose to split them up between them, so one parent can take all 37 weeks, or they can split them up 50-50, so one parent gets 18 and a half weeks off, the other parent gets 18 and a half weeks off, and total they get paid for all of that time. But that's still
Interesting.
much more paid time off than we get in the USA.
Yeah.
From what we've read, the one downside to paid maternity and paternity leave in the UK is that the maximum payout is just £140 per week, which, if you consider that the median weekly wage in the UK is £585,
Oh,
that's
wow.
not very much. It's actually, what, like 20% of your weekly income?
Especially considering that you have a new baby in the household, which babies are really expensive.
Yeah, it's like an 80% pay cut.
So, out
Wow.
of curiosity,
Okay.
do most British people take that full time
Right.
off then? Because if I was there and I was
a
going to
huge
take an
pay
80%
cut. That's
a huge pay cut.
I don't think that I would take those 50 weeks off.
Yeah.
Or even the 37 weeks. I probably wouldn't want to do that just because, like, there's high incentive not to.
That said, as with sick leave, the nice thing about maternity and paternity leave in the UK is that you guys have the option of taking it off if you want it.
Yeah.
In the USA, someone might get fired for taking more time than what's allowed, but you guys get so much more extra time, up to 37 weeks of paid leave for one person. That's so much time. So I think this is still a category win for the UK. Just
Yeah, I think it's awesome that you guys get that amount of time, the ability to take
Right,
that
the
amount of time to be with your kids once they're born. I mean, it's so important. We've talked about that in past
Yeah, we did a
videos.
whole video.
Yeah, so no reason to really, go on and
Spend a
on
lot
about
of
it.
time, yeah.
But, that is a major pay cut if you're planning on taking off for 37 weeks. They're like, I don't know, is that 8 months off the top of my head? Something like that, right?
Yeah, I don't remember talking about that figure in the other video, but maybe it did.
Yeah, I mean that's a big pay cut. Now, if one of the parents are taking off, the other parents work making full salary, then it
A little more doable.
Yeah, it's a little more doable, but I can imagine that could hurt if you don't have savings. But if you saved, knowing you were getting
planning
pregnant,
for
you
that.
planned for it, you saved us some money, and then you can take off for literally 8 months or so, not have to worry about it. You still get a partial salary.
Right.
That's a really good benefit, and I just wish everyone could just
do
take
that,
off
yeah.
for I wish everybody could take off for a really long time with their kids. Obviously, if it was up to me, mothers specifically could be with their kids for the first number of years. I mean, obviously that is not
Dream
really,
world,
it's a
but-
dream world in today's society, but obviously that's really good for mother, for dad, for the kid,
And for society.
and just for society in general, yeah. But that's really interesting, and I just wish that here in the U.S. it was more prioritized than it is. But
Yeah.
it sounds like some states do prioritize this more than others.
Yeah, and I think as time goes on, you'll probably see more of that. It'll be like a snowball effect.
Yeah, I think
Hopefully
you will.
more states will get on board.
Yeah.
It's because you guys have the choice of staying at home or going back to work.
I think
Yeah.
that's fair. 1 point for the UK.
Also, if we're squinting a lot, don't worry. We're not squinting at you. It's just very bright out right now. We're not used to shooting videos in the backyard.
Despite being overcast, it is extremely bright
Yeah.
out here. So, yeah.
That's the squinting.
And the frowning. I'm sorry. On a lighter note, our next entry is crisps.
Crisps!
Crisps.
I love a good crisp. Apple crisp, especially.
I think they would call that cobbler. Because you've eaten a lot more British crisps than I have, I will have to defer to you for this entry.
So, as you guys know, we've made a whole bunch of snack and crisp tasting videos on our channel. Make sure to click up here if you haven't seen those yet. But yeah, I think British crisps tend to be better than American crisps for a lot of different reasons, but the
Yes. I just want to go ahead and say yes.
Yeah, from our experience.
From our
that's been the
experience,
case.
I think you guys have some absolutely wonderful crisp. Let's see. What's the ones I like so much? The Lancashire
Lancashire crisp.
crisp. Man, if you haven't tried those, yes, you owe it to yourself to try them. They're amazing. I mean, most of the crisps we tried were good.
Yeah.
That's the one that stuck out in my head the most, right off the top.
But I mean, pretty much all except for any salt and vinegar variety. That's just because we don't like that.
Yeah, I'm not a
flavor.
fan of salt and vinegar. I know that that's a popular type in the UK. Well, we just don't personally like. I'm not a big vinegar fan.
Yeah.
So definitely wasn't our cup of tea. But I will say the salt and vinegar I have tried, I believe was better than any of the salt and vinegar I've tried here.
Probably.
Granted, I haven't tried salt and vinegar here in a long time because I just don't like vinegar that much. But nonetheless, the chips, excellent.
The crisp.
Yes, or the crisp, yes, excellent.
main one being less salty.
Yes.
Less salty. American crisps,
Less
you can only have
greasy,
a
too, I feel
handful,
like.
Less
and then
greasy.
you have to drink a gallon of water because it's just so much salt. But in the UK, it's salty, but not too overwhelming.
What do you think about the flavor selection? Because I'm sure that'll be one that people are like, what?
Oh, yeah.
Nothing about the flavor selection? Do you think that there's better flavors or a greater variety of
I was
flavors? in the
surprised
UK
at how many
as opposed to
different
the
unique
USA?
flavors there were
So when it
in
comes to
UK
the spectrum
crisps.
of flavor, I think that the UK wins there as well because
Seems like
here our chips are pretty bog standard. You got your barbecue and your ranch and your sea salt vinegar and
That's kind of it,
yeah, your crisps. You don't really get those wild, wacky twiglet flavors or prawn cocktail or pickled onion. And I'm just scratching the surface. There are so-
Remember
Oh,
we
my
got
goodness.
sent the roasted chicken something
The ham.
flavor. The honey glazed
Honey glazed.
ham.
Oh my god! What
Those
brand was that?
Was it Mackey's?
Mackie. Oh my goodness, those were
I
amazing.
still think about those.
I think those were a limited edition holiday
Yeah.
special or something because we
Yeah.
wanted more of them. And
We looked online.
Yeah, I looked online for them, and they didn't exist online. So, oh my goodness, those were the best crisp
Yeah.
ever.
They were really good.
I remember, we loved them, but Sophia, she was.
She said those were her favorite
Yeah.
chips she's ever had.
And sadly, we couldn't get any more.
but we're thankful we got to experience
Yes,
them.
they were amazing. Yes.
so many
I know
wild
there's
flavors.
so many more.
So crisps, chips, clear win the UK. If you're a Brit or an American that disagrees with me, stop by the comments and we can fight it out. Another thing that the UK does better than the USA is travel, with more Brits flying internationally.
I feel like
than
it's
any other
easier for you guys to
nationality
travel.
on
Yeah.
Earth.
That's a lot. That's
Yeah.
super impressive.
More Brits take to the skies and leave their country than Americans do, which is crazy considering just the population differences.
know.
But despite all this
Wait, hold on.
jet-setting-
I want to see that real quick. What did I say? Where is it at? In 2018, 126.2 million passengers were British, compared with just 111.5 million U.S. passengers. I think a big reason for that is because
Flights are so expensive from here.
not only flights are so expensive to go, other places, but also to go outside of, say, we could go to Mexico or Canada. pretty quickly. But in order for us to go anywhere else, we have to travel across an ocean, and it literally, like you said, it's expensive to get anywhere in Europe from here. But also, it literally would take you an extra day, maybe 2 days. Well, round trip, at least 2 days of extra time.
Flight time.
And as we know, you guys have more vacation time than we do here in the U.S. So
that's probably another reason.
When you add on, like, say 3 days, a day and a half on each side of travel time just to get to your destination.
To get to the airport, to get on the plane, to travel in the plane. Yeah.
Yes, that could take up somebody might have only a week of vacation. So like when you think about that, it's like they don't really have the time to do that often. So it's just easier to say, you know what, we're just going to
stay local.
Yeah, we're just going to go to Florida, or we'll go up to skiing up in Aspen, or what have you.
Or maybe to like Cancun or something in Mexico.
And I think a lot of people, if they want to go somewhere tropical, they'll go to the Bahamas.
Or U.S. Virgin Islands.
They go to Hawaii.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah. I was looking not too long ago, and I was looking at what it would be for, say, flights from London to like different countries in Europe.
Because we were curious, because we've heard a lot of people like, why don't Americans travel more? And
my goodness, guys, you can get from London to like the farthest reaches of Europe in a matter of hours, and literally like
super cheap.
And literally like for a couple £100 or something. For us, it's literally thousands of dollars and potentially like a day and a half, or more. So I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Not all of it, but it is a big aspect of why you have less U.S. passengers traveling.
The pointing out of the vacation time is a good point too. That's probably a big part of it.
Yeah.
Crazy considering just the population differences. The next thing that the UK does way, way better than the USA is slang. British slang ain't bad.
Yeah.
That's highly
I think that's true, actually.
So what are some of your favorite British slang phrases?
I like the one, as much use as a chocolate teapot.
Oh, yeah.
I really like that one, because
As much use as a chocolate teapot.
I get it now. I didn't get it at first.
Would melt and be useless. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I've never heard that one.
I haven't heard that one either.
It's something I've definitely never heard or even thought of before. So I was like, oh, that's random. I love it.
And there's so many variations of that one too. Like as much use as a chocolate fire guard, or as much use as an ashtray on a motorcycle.
I've heard that one.
If you know any other variations, let us know. I really liked half soaked for someone being a bit dim or slow.
Half soaked?
Half soaked.
Or one sandwich short of a picnic. Isn't that one as well?
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Thick as two short planks. All of these are
I've heard that one.
we're going with.
Oh, yeah. Well, you guys are just better at doing the insults than we are.
Yeah, and very creatively too. So it's usually like people wouldn't even catch it unless they're intelligent enough to catch it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, they're giving me a compliment.
Yeah.
Better.
We're just like, you're a moron. Everyone hates you.
And then, of course, the UK has things like Cockney rhyming slang, which is a whole just world of slang that we
really is
touch here in the United States. And so many brilliant uses of the word bollocks.
I know. Yeah, that's not one that we ever really use at all.
Yeah.
Like that word in and of itself is just not something we say over
Yeah,
here.
I don't think I've ever said that before.
So I can say it with impunity. How are you feeling today? Oh, feeling like a bag of bollocks. Which I think it means feeling bad.
I would
But it might mean
think.
feeling good, because sometimes, like, if something's the dog's bollocks, and it's really good, so...
The dog's
But like
bollocks.
a bag of them? I feel like
That's a negative one.
inherently negative.
To drop a bollock. To be...
To
in the
drop a
bollocky buff.
bollock.
What the heck?
Yeah.
Okay, so many of these I haven't heard.
Bollocky buff means naked.
Oh, can a woman be in the bollocky buff?
You guys will have to answer that one for us. So in the USA, we do have a lot of fun slang, but it just doesn't come close to the density and the amount of slang that there is in the UK.
The next thing that the UK does better, much, much, much better than the USA, is food regulations.
Yeah.
It's
Call
been a bit of a
that.
pain
I knew this would be in
shopping
there.
Here, every time we buy something, you have to pick up the can and check the ingredients to make sure there's no terrible carcinogens or additives. And in the UK, you don't really need to worry about that as much, because a lot of the carcinogens and additives that we have over here are banned from British shores. The bleached chicken is coming though, so you better watch out.
Yeah, chicken's gonna get you.
Chicken's gonna get you.
Bleached chicken specifically.
So what are some of the additives and stuff that we have here in the States that are banned?
Oh my
in the
goodness, don't get me
Kicking
started.
things off with carcinogens, BHT and BHA are both banned in the UK.
There's a lot of food colorings.
Really?
Yellow 5,
Yeah.
yellow
6.
Red 40. Brominated vegetable oil. Potassium...
Bromate?
Bromates. Yeah, that's it. Potassium bromate. Additives like these have been shown to cause nerve damage, memory loss, white blood cell mutations, and cancer. Another thing that the UK does far better than the United States is road...
Oh, before they were quick on that one. That's like the biggest one to me. And for some reason, other people don't take that as seriously here. You guys can pretty much, for the most part, go to any store, pick up something, and you're pretty sure it's probably not going to have crazy amounts of bad dyes and stuff in it.
And chemicals.
And just all sorts of chemicals and whatnot. Here, that is not the case.
Safety, and specifically roundabouts. I love how everywhere in the UK has a roundabout. You don't really have the four-way stop, the intersections, mostly roundabouts. Here, roundabouts are few and far between. We do have them. We should have a lot more of them. Intersections are scary. Four-way stops are really scary.
And I think that's probably where a lot of the accidents happen, are at intersections, things like that.
Yeah. You know, someone's
definitely
going through, someone runs a red light.
Yeah.
Tail.
You're dead.
You dead. There it is. Another thing that I hate about American roads are those lanes where you have traffic merging onto the highway, and you also have traffic exiting the highway in the same lane.
Oh, I hate that too.
And cars leaving
Yeah, I don't like that.
from the
It's
same
so stressful.
lane, and it's just
In a
chaos.
busy
The
area.
next thing that the UK...
Yeah.
All right, guys. So, like, we've talked about roundabouts a
Yeah.
little bit on the channel, and when we were looking at that, we found out that it like compared. I don't remember the numbers, but it was drastically fewer roundabouts here in the U.S. I mean, it was like not even close.
Staggering.
I mean, it was staggering how few we have and how many you guys have. And I can honestly say that I guess our town square where our courthouse is would be considered a roundabout, but it's not the same as what I consider a roundabout usually. A roundabout usually I don't usually picture them having buildings in the middle. I picture it just being like grass or like some sort of flowers or something like that. Or maybe some sort of monument.
But the point is still the same.
Yeah.
Like you merge.
Yeah, true. So I suppose we do have a roundabout downtown in our town square. But beyond that, I literally can't think of any roundabouts. I'm sure there might be one or two more somewhere in the area. But can you think of any other roundabouts?
Here?
Yeah.
No.
So I think we might have just one.
Hey, does better than the USA is... Drumroll, please. Police?
Maybe?
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 I guess we are about to find out.
Right off, we gotta say, we do not know a lot about this topic. We've done a little bit of research, but there is so much here. It is a cobweb of statistics and facts and figures and opinions. This is a layperson point of view.
This is not making any sort of statements about anything,
No,
really.
not really.
In the UK, we've heard people describe policing strategies there as kind of policing by consent, which really kind of sums up the differences between policing in the UK and
Police
USA.
boat.
Based on our own personal experience, American police tend to be suspicious of everyone, whereas British police aren't opposed to drinking a pint at a street fair. Like, we went to a couple of street fairs and stuff in the UK and definitely saw coppers out there drinking pints.
What?
Really?
On the job?
Racist
Ulster,
from
didn't
my
we?
memory.
Well, that memory may or may not be accurate, but I feel like that's something I saw happen. From a consumer point of view, do you think it'd be safe to say that we would rather be arrested by British police than American police?
Yes, I would prefer to not be arrested ever by anyone for any reason, but I suppose so.
And of course, we would love to hear your opinions on this topic. If you have ever been a cop in the USA or the UK, or you've done any amount of research on either of those, do let us know what your opinion is down in the comments, because I know we have a lot to learn here. And a bigger question, what would you guys add to this list of things that the UK does better than the USA? Make sure you let us know down in the comments what things the Brits do better than the Yanks.
I like this list, guys. I thought it was interesting.
I agree with, from what I know of these
Right.
topics,
I do
I
too.
would agree with what they chose.
Yeah, after being on this journey, learning about the UK for the past couple of years, I would say that from what I know about each of these topics, I would generally agree. I absolutely think it's amazing that you guys have the amount of time off to spend with your babies once they're born. That's really
Not
cool.
just for parental and maternal
No,
leave,
but
for
vacation?
sick time.
Was it
Vacation!
28 days?
Almost a month.
That would be a month. If it's 28
Oh, wait,
days,
that's true. Well, if it's the month of February.
what would that be? That's almost 6 weeks.
Wait, yeah.
Almost 6
'cause it's
weeks.
Usually 5 days
Yeah.
a week that you're working. That's true.
Almost 6 weeks. Dude, like man, and like you guys are right there in Europe. So you have all this vacation time. You can easily fly to all these places, specifically in Europe. And that must be pretty amazing. You can like just hop on a plane, a few hours later be in a completely different culture.
Or on the Channel Tunnel.
Right.
You don't have to get on a train. I mean, on a plane.
You fly on a plane through the Channel Tunnel? When you think about it, you can literally hop on a plane and get to so many different European nations that have different cultures, languages, and so much other stuff.
Scenery.
Then quicker and cheaper than we can get on a plane in Indiana and fly to
California.
I was gonna say fly home to North Carolina.
To North Carolina.
We've looked at the cost.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so like it's really insane, and that's really cool, and
a blessing.
Definitely something we would like to have the opportunity to do, but don't. Guys, let us know in the comments what you think of this list. What would you add? And and let us know in the comments what we should check out next. But I think that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow us on our journey to discover anything and everything about the UK and Ireland. Until next time, guys. Peace.
Bye.